All right. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So I've got Eric here from Watchorn Risk and Wealth, and my name is Mike Baker with Seven Oak Private Wealth. And we wanted to do a video to help people gain a little bit more context or a little bit more clarity around their finances.
Right on. Right on. I look
You ready
forward
to do this? You ready to do
man.
this?
Let's do this. Let's share this. Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Okay. All right. So this is a calculator called Maximum Potential, and I have to give kudos to Kim Butler and Todd Langford of the Prosperity Economics Movement, who have taken me under their wing and their tutelage over the last 3 years. And Eric, obviously, you and I have spent a couple of years together here as well, and you've been quite interested in this and these calculators as well.
Yeah, I really like them. They really show data in a different way, and it surmises things that we normally do not see put together like this. So
yeah,
I look forward to you going through this. This is great.
Yeah, it's a great tool. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through a calculator here called Maximum Potential, and what it's going to do is really going to allow people to be clear and about maybe a few paradigms we have around wealth and wealth and asset accumulation, I guess, and investing. Okay, so we're going to start with an illustration period of 30 years, okay. And we're going to start with the family income of $150,000, right? And what you'll see over here, Eric, is this couple has accumulated $4.5 million over a period of 30 years. Now, the math is pretty simple. However, given in that context, that's a boatload of money, isn't it?
Yeah, and now that is gross, right? Is that before taxes? Okay.
Yeah. We'll get to that. Nice segue.
Okay.
We'll get to the taxes, right?
The fun part, right?
Yeah. But I don't think a lot of people really get how much money passes through their hands, because our taxation system, where we withhold at source, and I think we get used to the net number going into our bank accounts. But I don't think that we really have the context around how much money we actually are generating, how much how much wealth we're generating as individuals and as couples. Yeah. All right, so Eric, as your family here, 150,000 a year, are you guys going to just be happy with 150,000 for the next 30 years, or do you think that you'd expect maybe some type of increase?
There'll be probably increases for most people over the years, right? So
yeah, no, for sure. So if we're truly going to talk about maximum potential, we should put some increase in. So we'll put this increase in of 4%, right?
Yeah.
There's various measures of inflation, and I don't even know if inflation is actually properly measured. They keep changing the baskets of goods that they use to measure inflation. I went car shopping the other day. Trust me, there is inflation.
Yes.
And as you see, this 4% increase has really changed the game, right? So now over this 30-year period, we've gone from, $4.5 million to almost $8.5 million over that time frame.
Yeah.
And so we're going to play a little bit of a game here where we're just going to say, okay, let's pretend that you have no expenses, Eric. That you have some type of diplomatic or government job, and everything's covered for you, all your expenses and all your room and all the good life is paid for. And so let's just say that you could take that money and you could invest it at a 5% earnings rate, right?
So it'd be like me living at the White House or something like that.
Exactly. Exactly. And so now now we've gone from 4.5 to 8.5. Now we're at almost $17 million.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that, for me, when I saw this the first time, that gave a really, a really neat way of looking at, what our max potential might look like. Right.
The great starting point, right? What are we
Yeah.
really looking at?
Yeah. So that, that might look at, given these factors, what we could generate, over a significant portion of our lifetime. All right. So you alluded to it earlier, and we're going to have to go into the taxes, right? And so if we kind of start putting in a tax rate, and you know what taxes are like these days, there's taxes on everything. There's not only income tax, there's not only sales tax, like GST, HST, but we've got carbon tax, resort tax. As Todd says, at some point there might be breathing tax. So we use a rate of 40%, right?
Okay. And that would be inclusive of everything that you may experience, right? In day-to-day income tax, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and it actually even could be even higher, right?
Yeah.
Like, given all the hidden taxes and all that, right? So now, we've lost, if you take a look at this, almost $7 million off of our total, and from a 40% tax. And the actual cost of that tax was $3.3 million, but it actually cost us almost $7 million. And I know you probably know the answer why that is, Eric.
Well, running it right through, opportunity cost, everything altogether.
Yeah, because you have no opportunity at all to use that money, right? That money is gone. So, in this calculation where we're saying, hey, we're going to earn 5%, well, from day one, we lose the ability of those tax dollars to earn. And the biggest factor, as we know in a lot of these things, is time. Although we shouldn't, there goes my sleep study results. Although we shouldn't sit there and use time as an excuse not to do anything, but it is a huge factor in terms of opportunity costs, right?
And it starts from day one, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, we can't wait till the end to pay the tax, right?
Right.
Yeah. So then let's go into debt service, and looking at debt service. Nelson Nash, our mentor, did a study around houses and vehicles, and it was his view that we used about 34.5% of our dollars going towards some type of debt service, whether it's credit cards, it's mortgages, auto loans, consumer loans, lines of credit. And then again, we're seeing, a big jump. Actually, a big jump down. And
Mike, can you elaborate on that? Now, is that you're not referring to an actual interest rate? You're referring to a proportion of our income that gets sent to the debt servicing, and
Exactly. Yeah, you nailed it. Yeah, like when you do the analysis, 34.5% of our income, in general, not everybody, of course, 34.5% as a gauge of what we would use of our gross income for debt service.
Okay.
So again, it's doing the same thing as the taxes did. We've lost another almost $6 million, and the actual cost is really closer to $3 million. But again, we've lost the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
And as we know, we gotta live, right, Eric?
Yeah, gotta do something.
We gotta live, right? So we'll use 23.5%, for lifestyle, and boom, there we go. So now, of all that money, 17 million, by the time we get to that end of that 30-year period, we've got about $339,000 left over.
Wow.
That's
and that kind of answers why so few Canadians or Americans in general save money or can save, even when we're making a decent, respectable paycheck, right?
Yeah, exactly. There are a number of headwinds that are in front of us, right? As we go. So, and to illustrate this even more, if you look at this 339,000, your last year wage, based upon the 4% inflation, was $467,000. So really, this really equates to 0.73 years of income.
Wow.
So it doesn't paint a very pretty picture, and and I don't think a lot of people understand this picture, right? Because Because what we do, this number here, this 2%, this net to savings, we're working really hard to say, okay, well, what can we do? And so, if I went there and I said, okay, Eric, I'm going to change this annual earnings rate to 10%. Well, what have I done? Well, okay. So, and 10% is a pretty good rate of return in our business, isn't it?
Well, it is. And a lot of people will say, Eric, well, we'll just do better. 5% is kind of low. I make 8%, 10%. And let's say, like you say, you do 10% for 30 years, which would be an amazing accomplishment, Ashley. But let's say you do. What are the numbers?
Yeah, well, and also that's a net of fees, right? We haven't even factored in fees. So again, we've done 10% every year over a period of 30 years, net of fees, right? Which is, as you and I agree, especially even in a diversified portfolio, managing risk, right? Is not easy to do. And now we've moved ourselves from 0.73 years of income to 1.7 years of income.
Gee, not a lot.
No, we haven't.
In the big picture.
Yeah, we haven't fixed the problem, have we?
No. Right? And that's where everybody's focused, right? Just about every advisor, everybody's mindset is looking for, how can I get a couple more points in my return? It'll solve all my problems. Exactly.
Yeah. And we're really looking in the wrong place, right?
Yeah.
So now let's go back down to 5% and let's see some other things that we can consider doing. So, I'm a chartered professional accountant, and and I know all about tax, and you paid your fair share of tax in your day, Eric, right? So if we can go in and look at somebody's affairs, like we generally can, and work with their accountants, and let's just say we can help them reduce their taxes by 10%, right? Well, that would reduce this 40% down to 36% because 4% is 10% of 40%, right? So if we move this down to 36, right? Well, what have we done? Without changing anything in terms of their risk, right? What have we done? Well, now we're up to 2 years worth of income, which, again, is not great, but, that's had a lot bigger impact than going out and putting all your savings at risk, trying to earn 10%.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
And then if we can have some conversations around them on how they're using their money and how they can manage their use of finance in their lives on a more efficient basis. And so let's just say we could cut that number in half. So let's just say we can get their debt service down to 18%. Well, then what have we done, right? Well, now we're at 8 years of income.
Makes a big difference for retirement. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and we haven't even touched lifestyle, and most people, until they see, unless they have a compelling reason to do so, you don't want to touch your lifestyle. And I get that, right? You want to live, a life of abundance, throughout your life, just not at the end.
And in the end too, new luxuries enjoyed become necessities after a little while, right? You don't really want to go backwards. Exactly.
So, so this is the kind of conversation that you and I want to have, and we have with our clients on an everyday basis, to look at, from a holistic perspective and how we can help them on a number of fronts to really come up with, strategies and ways that they can accomplish what they want to accomplish.
Yeah, I think this is a great stepping stone to know what to look for and know what to maybe address in your plan of attack.
Absolutely. Okay, well, that's it for me for today, Eric.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
No problem, and you have a wonderful rest of your weekend out there on the island. How's the weather?
It's great. It's improving. We're seeing signs of spring.
Yeah, us too.
How about you?
Us too in the prairies, I'll tell you. It was pretty cold there for a while.
I can't wait for the summer.
All right. Well, I'm just going to say goodbye for now. And wonderful talking to you today.
You as well. Have a great